welcome along to this Property Tribes interview where we are going to be talking digital signatures with our new sponsor, Signable, and I'm joined by founder Olly Culverhouse. So welcome, Olly, on Skype. Good to have you on board with us, Olly.
Yeah.
Interested to, first of all, tell us a little bit about the history of Signable and why you decided to form this digital tool.
Sure. Well, the company that I started before Signable about 6.5 years ago, we were a web development company, so we built websites and systems and software like that. Everything we did was electronic, except for the contracts themselves. And we were aware that the electronic sign-in regulations were in place, but they weren't very popular within the UK for some unknown reason. So we built the first version of Signable to use for ourselves as our own internal tool. Got really good feedback from our existing customers at that point. At that point, we obviously weren't dealing with property-related professionals. It was more within our own clients. However, we had such a very good feedback from our own customers saying that it was very easy to do and obviously perfectly legally binding. And so we then decided to roll Signable out as a separate product and a separate sort of company of sorts. And we're now at the stage where we don't do any. The company who did web development, actually, we don't really do any web development anymore. It's purely Signable because of the growth and the sort of interest in this sort of field and industry, especially within the UK.
Fantastic. And Nick and I are very keen to encourage landlords to adopt digital tools because it increases efficiency, saves time and money. So let's talk about the kind of documents that landlords can use a digital signature for.
Sure. So the actual regulations, they're not really, as most regulations, they're kind of grey in certain areas. But in terms of documents, in terms of the types of documents that you can actually get signed, legally you can get any document signed within property. However, there are things obviously like deeds and things like that within the land registry, which the land registry don't support. However, the common documents that we find are tenancy agreements, ASTs and things like that, as well as other terms and conditions documents and things like that.
And inventories?
Yeah, inventories. So we have quite a few inventory companies who use us as well. So that can work perfectly fine as well.
Now, one issue that was raised in the current discussion on Property Tribes is the matter of security and how legally binding a digital signature is. And this is something that you can put landlords' minds at ease about, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, anything like this that is slightly different to the normal is obviously going to have some very valid concerns. However, the Electronic Signature Act has been legal since 2000. It was actually brought in 2000. However, we haven't adopted it as of yet within the EU. However, in terms of property, the way that electronic signatures work is that they need to mimic paper as much as possible. So as soon as the document's been signed, it can't be edited, it tampered with, and it also can't be changed during the process. So the signer obviously can add in new rows or new lines or anything else like this. And as well as the actual signing process itself, there's a real misconception, or there's a real kind of reliance on paper and pen, on the assumption that it's some sort of secured method of signing or doing anything at all. However, that just isn't the case. Obviously, if you compare an electronic signature with paper and pen, with electronic signatures you can track who the document has gone to, both on email address, IP address, their computer, lots of information in terms of where they are in the world, as well as what computer they're using. However, with paper and pen, if, for example, I was sending you a document to sign via post, then I'm not going to be sure that you're going to receive it, and I'm also not going to be sure that you're the one that's signing it anyway. However, with electronic, you could say that is also not the case, because anyone could access your email address. However, you have a lot more evidence to prove whether or not that was the case with electronic. We feel with any electronic signature provider, and especially Signable, we record every step that happens with that document. So when it was sent, when it was signed, when the email was opened, and lots of other information around that, which build up an audit log and a paper trail to track the document from the moment it was sent to the moment it documents signed. So that obviously gives you a bit more peace of mind and allows you to make sure that the document is signed in the correct way. And it's all about proving that the document was obviously signed under the right pretenses, and obviously the person understood the document itself. Because contract law, without getting a bit too legal, because obviously this is a very dry subject, but contract law is all about proving that the person obviously signed the document. And obviously with this paper trail and this audit log that Signable provides, you can provide this and give it to a court of law and actually see that the document has been proven and actually signed in the correct way. Whereas with paper, you might not necessarily have that. It might be more of a case of their word against mine sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the sort of transparency of the web in terms of date and timestamps and IP addresses, etc. Actually, it's just a case of landlords understanding that and understanding that these things are actually very positively disruptive kind of changes that they can embrace to their advantage. So just to finish, Olly, what would you say are the main advantages to landlords of using a digital signature?
Well, the main advantage is time. In terms of getting the document signed. Personally, within Signable, we see documents on average signed within 30 minutes. So that is a huge time saving on having to chase them up. As well as that, obviously, hand in hand, you have cost savings because of the fact that you're saving time, and also if you're sending a very large document out to someone via post, for example, postage is going to be large, whereas with Signable, documents can cost less than sort of 20p per document. So, it's a large time saving on there, as well as the transparency and the actual ability to have that evidence and paper trail, electronic paper trail, of course, within that document. However, people normally come to us because of the time saving that it gives them rather than anything else.
Yeah, and I think it's the efficiency of getting something done straight away rather than toing and froing and chasing. You've got your kind of trail of where you are with everything, and you can keep tabs on it.
Yeah, and also there's obviously more and more people are going more mobile in terms of devices and tablets.
Yes.
However, if you've been emailed a document that you need to sign, for example, you're on the train, but you need to get back to the office to print it and sign it and scan it back in. See, that's a delay, whereas you can sign with electronic signature providers like Signable on your iPad or on a tablet or on a mobile phone, so you can get it done there and then, rather than having to wait, which obviously is beneficial for both the signer, because they're probably waiting to do something, and also the sender, because obviously they want to either agree something or start the process going. So there are huge benefits to that as well.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on Skype, Olly, and also just to remind you that it's thanks to our sponsors like Signable that Property Tribes remains a free-to-use community resource. So I'd like to thank Olly and Signable for being part of our community and supporting Property Tribes, and thank you for sharing those important insights.
No problem.
Cheers, thank you, Olly.
Thank you.
Bye.